Xenoblade Chronicles Genesis, the first 3 Xenoblade games being remade, and a Xenoblade Mario Kart type racer joint. Man, we are not only eating, we are feasting, and we are so back, man. I am so full as a Xenoblade Chronicles fan. The worst part about today is not because I'm a Xenoblade Chronicles fan, but the worst part about this whole thing is that I had a meeting at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, which is when the Direct came out, and I had a meeting right after that. So I kind of had to just wait and mute all my phone because I didn't want to see anything, but my phone was blowing up, meaning I kind of knew there had to be something Xenoblade related. It was either Xenoblade or Smash, the way my phone was blowing up. But nonetheless, man, we are feasting, and it's so good to be talking about Xenoblade again. I covered, the hype cycle for Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and I intend to do that for Xenoblade Genesis. So if you're not subscribed to the channel and you want to see more Xenoblade content, make sure to subscribe so you're notified when I post more Xenoblade videos. But nonetheless, we have so much to unpack, so much to talk about. I don't even know where to start. I feel like I want to start with Xenoblade Genesis and then do the remake stuff, because there's a lot to unpack with the Xenoblade Genesis trailer. Okay, you know what, F it, we're starting with Xenoblade Genesis. I was gonna start with the remake stuff, but nah, F it, we're going straight into Genesis. But my god, so given obviously, first and foremost, spoilers for the entire Xenoblade trilogy, you should definitely watch or not watch. You need to play the whole Xenoblade trilogy before watching this video. But I do think you could probably enjoy Xenoblade Genesis without playing the previous 3 Xenoblade games. They already have said that. And each Xenoblade game can inherently be played independently. It's not necessarily recommended. I do recommend you go in order. But you can definitely play Xenoblade Genesis without playing the previous Xenoblade games, which is something I love about the Xenoblade series. Because you can't do that with something like Final Fantasy VII Remake, right? You have to play those games in order. I guess with Final Fantasy as a whole, you technically can play like 10, then 7, then 8. But like Xenoblade as a whole being numbered 1, 2, 3, and you play them in any order is kind of interesting. But you should play them in the order that they're numbered. But nonetheless, getting into freaking spoilers and just everything. Oh my god. There is so much to unpack. This is very much, given especially how Xenoblade 3 ended, I feel like it was very clear that the next Xenoblade game would be its own thing. And we've been hearing about this ever since Xenoblade 3 wrapped up. We've been hearing that Monolith Soft is working on a big project. And given how big of a scale all Xenoblade games have been on not great hardware, right? You're talking about the Wii, the Wii U, and the Nintendo Switch, how big and expansive and beautiful the worlds of Xenoblade are on these games. It just makes you wonder how big this game is going to be, because we only got a brief snippet that already looks amazing. This honestly looks like the best Nintendo Switch game right now, but we only got a snippet so far, right? But with that being said, just knowing Monolith Soft, it's just, this game is new. Clearly it's gonna create maybe a new world, maybe this will be a new trilogy of sorts, but nonetheless, just knowing what this studio is able to do, it just has me so excited, because it seems like the sky is the limit. And now they're on a Switch 2, which is like the most powerful console they've ever had to deal with ever. And given that the Switch 2 has a game like Cyberpunk on it, right? It's going to have Elden Ring, some really big games. I'm just excited to see what this game is going to look like. Now, the one thing I do want to say that I noticed about the trailer, there's a lot in the trailer, right? New characters, new everything. Looks like elves taking place in a school, whatnot. The one quote I did notice that me and my friend were discussing was all the way at the end, where the narrator states that the people are going to learn about the vengeance of a god that has yet been fulfilled. And instantly I was thinking, oh shit, Does this have to do with Zanza? But then I was also thinking about that kind of doesn't make sense because it seems like the Xenoblade, Zanza was Xenoblade Chronicles, right? 1, 2, 3. That was the Zanza story, right? So maybe this is a remnant of Zanza, but I'm thinking Fallen God. Zanza's the biggest one, unless there is another one out there. I mean, it's not hard to imagine that if Zanza was created, that there could have been other ones. And maybe the 6 suns is because there is different, I don't know. Wait, well, there's 6 suns around this one world, so I doubt there'll be like 6 different Zanzas. I feel like maybe there'll be like 6 different gods or something in this world. But nonetheless, I just thought that was the big quote that stuck out to me. I mean, clearly there's a weapon that a hero used before that we see the main character, or who I'm assuming the main character is kind of like is starting to use. But we shall see. This trailer, I want to rewatch it 50 times to see how many details I can get. It just feels like with Xenoblade trailers, you got to kind of zoom in because there's like a lot. All the characters look great. The landscaping looks great. It just looks like the most beautiful, not only just Xenoblade game, but also just the best Nintendo Switch 2 game. That is actually like first party Nintendo, because a lot of the bigger games are from other parties, like you got Final Fantasy, Cyberpunk, things like that. But this is like, I feel like the first big in-house Nintendo game, which is interesting that they're going with Xenoblade. I'm glad, because I feel like Xenoblade 2 was the biggest game that came out after Breath of the Wild, and it seems like this is the big game that they're going to use to push the Switch 2, which is like about time that Xenoblade gets that love and that mainstream attention, because I really thought we would have gotten like a Mario or a Zelda to push this system as being like the big open world game, which I guess we still have. What, Bloodborne is coming out? Is that the name of it? It's coming out, but I'm thinking like that's still kind of using, you know, what is it, outside studios. This is like Monolith Soft is like Nintendo owned, so I'm really excited to see how they put. I'm excited that Xenoblade is getting, you know, this big attention as being like, I guess, the big next entry in a Nintendo franchise that's being, you know, kind of like going to be the biggest sort of like push. It's going to be the biggest, like, I guess, first party game that's getting a new entry that's being pushed by Nintendo. Like, you know, Bloodborne is a new thing, right? Whereas Xenoblade, this is, you know, Nintendo, right? It's like the Mario, it's akin to like Mario, Zelda, things like that. Xenoblade is getting that love, and I'm excited to see Xenoblade Genesis fully realized. Now on to the Switch 2 versions of the original trilogy. Now, the beginning of the year, I think maybe towards the end of last year, there was a lot of rumors about a Xenoblade 2 Definitive Edition, and I didn't believe those at all, because while I believe that Xenoblade 2 would probably get some love, I could not imagine Xenoblade 2 being the only one of the trilogy getting love. It was very much so, if, you know, Xenoblade 2 was going to get love, they were just going to do love for the entire trilogy, because it would be weird. Why would you do a Switch 2 or like a Xenoblade 2 Definitive Edition and just forget Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition and Xenoblade 3? So like Xenoblade 2 is the only one that's going to get the 4K treatment? That doesn't make sense. So I definitely, you know, expected that, you know, all 3 were going to get this treatment, and I'm glad that we're here, and I'm glad that all 3 of them are getting love and not just Xenoblade 2, as kind of like the rumor that was circulating kind of suggested. Now, going over the details we have for each Switch 2 edition, we did get a separate overview trailer of the Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition Switch 2 edition. My god, that's a mouthful. We did get an overview trailer for that one, seeing as how that one got shadow dropped today, and I can imagine we'll probably get a more in-depth trailer for the Xenoblade 2 Switch 2 edition and the Xenoblade 3 Switch 2 editions, as those are being released later. But for the Xenoblade Chronicles, there's a new vehicle that I guess is going to make traveling across the world real easy. I mean, cool. You already kind of ran pretty fast, but cool. And then there's new, you know, apparel for each of the characters to ride these gears, and you could also race, which is pretty fun. And then all the hearts to hearts are voiced, which is cool. I will say with all of these, it seems like the more story-based things we're probably going to get in 2 and 3, given as how in Xenoblade 2, we're supposed to be getting new blades. Yeah, in Xenoblade 2, we're supposed to be getting new blades. We're going to be able to control blades, which is some stuff that they borrowed from Torna. And then new equipment designs for Pyra and Mithra. That's probably just new costumes. I hope that they're cool costumes. Maybe they'll do like some of their Smash costumes. That would be cool and nothing too fan servicey. And then Xenoblade 3 is that we're going to get new hero and new hero quest and the newly event scenes. So it seems like they're just going to expand on Xenoblade 3. So it seems like Xenoblade 2 and 3 are going to get a little bit more content. Xenoblade Definitive Edition is kind of just, I mean, obviously the big thing with all of these is performance enhancements, which are cool, and these are going to be dropped throughout the year, which is really cool. Perfect time to get into the Xenoblade series if you have not already. It's cool that these are going to be kind of released throughout the year. So you have opportunities to play those in preparations for Xenoblade Genesis coming next year. Now, I will probably do another deep dive analysis on Xenoblade Genesis. I just kind of still need to digest and look through it. But my initial prediction in terms of release date is, it pretty much is like, I feel like a lock for a summer release, given that Pokemon is probably going to come out in November. Maybe another Mario or Zelda game. I can't see this coming out later. If anything, Xenoblade games tend to come out earlier than the release date. So maybe we'll even get a spring release. But I really think they're probably going to do like a July-ish release. Nintendo always tends to release a game in July. This year, Splatoon Raiders is going to be that July game. So I can easily see this filling that July slot. Unless they put this in June. But I feel comfortable that it's going to be in July, given that's when Xenoblade 3 released. And I believe that's when Xenoblade Definitive Edition released. I know X Definitive Edition released in what was that? It released in March of last year, right? That's when X Definitive Edition released. It was right before we got Switch 2 news. So we shall see. I am so incredibly hyped for this. And make sure to comment down your theories, and would love to discuss Xenoblade theories. And I'll be covering, Xenoblade as we're getting into another hype cycle. I will probably do a video on my thoughts on Xenoblade X, just because I did watch the cutscenes a couple years ago, but I don't remember everything. And now that Xenoblade X Definitive Edition came out, I'm playing through that, and so I'll maybe do a Xenoblade X review, especially because I know there's some connection in there. There's some extra content all the way at the end, and I want to play through the game instead of just spoiling myself. So I'll probably do a video on that, and then that'll lead into maybe some more speculation about Xenoblade. I want to say Xenoblade 4. Xenoblade Genesis, we have a whole year till this game is going to come out, so we definitely do have time. Something else I will say is, I personally do not see all of the problems with the Xenoblade X Switch 2 edition. A lot of people are complaining on Twitter about handheld mode. I do not notice any big gameplay problems at all. It looks great on handheld mode. It looks great on my TV. And so I don't see any problems with the Xenoblade Switch 2 editions. I don't know. I guess you can nitpick little details. They are not unplayable. Personally, to me, they seem cool. I don't really have any complaints. But I guess if you zoom in or if you look for small problems, you might find some, but I don't really see any problems, and that's just me. Maybe I'm not looking right for some things. I don't know, but just as a casual consumer, this looks great, and as a Xenoblade fan, this looks great. But anyway, I'm excited. I get to play through the whole trilogy again. I was low-key waiting before I did a huge trilogy playthrough for these Switch 2 editions, because I assumed they would probably come out, and so now I have until Xenoblade Genesis comes out to replay the games. And I also have to beat Final Fantasy Rebirth now that Revelation came out. And I will say also, there's no coincidence that we're getting Xenoblade Genesis and then Final Fantasy Remake. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 is called Revelation. There's no coincidence that Xenoblade just so happened to be named Genesis, and then we're also getting a game named Revelation. I feel like Xenoblade probably was like, Monolith Soft was probably like, hey, Final Fantasy, what are you gonna, they probably knew, they like talked to some insiders or something and knew the trilogy was going to be named, the last part was going to be named Revelation, because they probably came up with all the names for the trilogy when they started the project, right? So they probably were like, Monolith Soft probably was like, alright, we know they're going to be calling this Revelation, we're going to call our game Genesis. But anyway, looking for more biblical themes in these games, probably some stuff I missed, but nonetheless, let's talk in the comments, and I am so excited. See y'all in the next video. Peace. Make sure to subscribe. Peace.